it it like cut out. It like by itself. I don't. That was the first time that happened. I literally did a 9-hour stream one night. I don't know how the fuck I did that. One of my first streams was 9 hours and nothing happened. Nothing wrong, fucked up. But this just decided. I was wondering like what happened. I just like checked the Facebook and it just it was gone. Everything was it said it was over. So I don't remember where I left off and I was talking for a while. I was what I closed the fucking tab too. God damn it. I just feel like and it's not like a video. It's not like I can just re-record that. I don't even remember what I was talking about. God damn it. Jesus. Jesus. Great. Technical issues. Is my music working? What happened here? Um. Hmm. That's crazy. I don't know what happened. And I was literally looking at my Twitch videos and it said that this was one that was just pre-recorded for like an hour or so. And I was like, that's not right. What is this? What is that thing? That's not right. God damn it. So I got to take this picture or photography session for this salad that we're putting on the menu. So noon when I normally go in closer to 3, but I have to go in there, leave here a little bit after noon and go do this photo shoot. And I will definitely probably put that in the Discord. I'm going to take some pictures with my phone. Bing, 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 bing. Sorry about that if you were watching. I didn't know what happened. I didn't know what happened. Is it running on the Facebook? Why am I yawning? Why? Apparently in 24 minutes there's gonna be a damn. No. I gotta see this. Where in the hell? I guess it's working. I don't know. I'm literally trying to figure this out. But Whatever. The morning, I feel less rushed too with this whole morning thing. It feels very chill. Okay, it's on. Yeah, I was on my Twitch too, and I didn't even see that the little live button was gone. What the hell? Hmm. Huh. I apologize. I'm just trying to look. I think maybe my internet, I need to disconnect from a. I have two separate routers, and I think what happened was it like just switched by itself, and I don't know how to control that, so I just maybe can forget one of the routers and deal with that later. I apologize. Oh my god. Okay, I guess that's just what we're gonna deal with. If it cuts out again, I'll just boot it back up. What is it? 10:18? We still got 2 hours. A little less than 2 hours. We're good. We're good. Oh my god. We're good. Let's get this Reddit going. Let's get this Reddit going. Oh my god. I don't know how to drink coffee. There's like stuff in the bottom of that. All right. Let's look at the top. Instacart gave me 50 pounds of limes instead of 5 pounds of limes. What the hell do I do with 50 pounds of limes? Juice them, make a lime curd. Ugh, I got like coffee residue on my face. World's nastiest streamer. Whoa! This isn't even a question I'm gonna go into, but the title I just want to read. It says, attempting to make cottage cheese with chocolate milk. I'm just gonna leave that one there. Why do we leave the tails on shrimp, especially in dishes that shouldn't need our hands like noodle dishes? This is just a preference thing. It is like cumbersome to have shrimp tails and have like then you gotta use your finger. You can also just like put your fork into one end of the shrimp and use your knife to like boop, like boop. It is, it's an aesthetic thing, and also like if you're showcasing the shrimp, like I don't know, I don't really find it a big issue. If I'm getting something with shrimp, unless it's like a sandwich, I'm gonna assume that the tails are on. I don't know. I do think it's kind of weird. I'm not saying that it's necessary to have the tails in there. Does bay leaf really make a difference? Yes, bay leaf is you can use that in a lot of different sauce building. It's a really good flavor for some that like savory, indistinguishable like what is that? It gives a nice dynamic flavor to a lot of, especially when it comes to simmering and braising and things like that. Is it overkill to spatchcock buttermilk marinade and rub an herb butter on a roast chicken? No. Like you are building some flavor and you're doing now, just don't go nuts and like overcook your chicken, but like you're on like this is a good technique. Marinating it, knowing it's going to be pressed in the buttermilk too. Chicken takes the buttermilk so good. Another good thing is like buttermilk and like pickle juice. I always save pickle juice for chicken. Always. Like it's such a good it somehow, even if it just sits in the brine for a little bit. I don't put it straight in pickle juice, but I'll take my either buttermilk or whatever mixture and add hot sauce, and I'll add a lot of pepper, like a lot. And I'll also add garlic powder, onion powder, and then like pickle juice that I have left over. It can be, I usually don't use the bread and butter pickle juice, but you can. Like I like the more acidic, but you'd be surprised how much flavor it imparts in such a short amount of time. And you don't want the chicken to sit in there that long. What I recommend is letting it sit in there for like up to 6 hours, and then take it out and let it kind of dry, or not dry, but let it drain on a resting rack a little bit, so that that buttermilk will kind of form a little layer on the chicken, and you'll ultimately end up with a nice juicy sealed piece of meat. But that buttermilk method, buttermilk and chicken is like it's like peanut butter and tuna fish, man. It goes together so well. But yeah, and then he's going on to say, rub with an herb butter, and that's just only gonna further help and caramelize the outside. So that is a really good question, just because it's a technique thing, and it's a good way to apply technique, not just applying technique because a recipe said so. There's a lot to say about being creative when it comes to doing things that you don't know if they're going to work, and that's really what cooking is. It's the same thing as dancing. Like, dancing is just fucking moving. Like, yeah, it's a little weird at first, but like once you get it and you do the same couple things, and then here and there you interchange a couple things, you're dancing. And it's the same with cooking. You start out with a couple things. It's a little, you learn, you have some things that you kind of stick to, and then eventually, as you like broaden your skills, you get more creative, and you want to like throw in that extra like whatever, or try rubbing something with butter, or even like little things. It doesn't have to be like a whole, like, maybe you don't want to try butter, maybe like you want to make it. You can also like use mayo on the outside of a chicken in lieu of like a butter substitute, if you're like, especially if you're roasting a chicken and then rubbing the chicken's outside with like rubbing the outside of the chicken with like a garlic aioli or something, is a weird secret, like not a thick layer, but like is how you would do butter. It'll yield you the same results, because in mayo and aioli, it's just eggs and oil. It's protein and fat, so it's gonna help. Yeah, it's funny. What we use for our lubricant for the pizza pans in the restaurant, we take Duke's mayonnaise and blend it with a certain amount of comfy garlic, and then we brush that inside the pizza pan, and that's how it makes that crust. Mayo can be put on a grilled cheese on the outside. It's very nice. I kind of like it better, because then you can have you put it, and then you also like lubricate the pan, and then it seals the bread in a way where like the fat, like sometimes you get a grilled cheese and you see like the butter and oil has like seeped into the bread, and it's like it's crunchy but it's like saturated. The mayo, like, since there's egg and protein in it, that it basically cooks the protein and makes this seal, and then you don't get like a lot of the bleed through from the fat. What the hell? I gotta sneeze. Oh. Ow. I don't know what is it. I just have allergies forever. I never have no allergies. That's a double negative right there. Oh. So yeah, mayo is God. Duke's Mayo, if you're watching my shitty tiny little stream, I want you to come and sponsor me. There's actually like they have a hat on their website I want to get. It's just a black one with like the mesh, the trucker style. It's usually like when I'm in the kitchen at work, I'll like have my hair pulled up, and I'll have like I like the mesh trucker ones because I wear them backwards and there's like airflow and it's really nice. But I've been doing the bandana. I've been doing the bandana a lot. Just tying my hair and having a bandana. Because even that trucker hat gets really hot. Better. Sorry. I have different lighting for sometimes the sun, sometimes there's just a lot of clouds and there's just not really much I can do about it. But so far the lighting in the mornings has just been way enough to make me switch. And nighttime is just, it's different, and I'd rather keep my stuff, all my work on the same days than just streaming on days off when I could be working on things for the stream. Here's a good question. Would it be bad etiquette to ask a restaurant for a recipe? No. I just think a lot of times people aren't prepared for how extensive recipes can actually be, and they get like, they learn like, oh, that's how much effort you put into that? Okay. So you kind of have to like take it everything with a grain of salt, because I get asked that question a lot, and it's like you start explaining it, and even if it's like stuff like to do with the pizzas, or like even the morning, or like how to make a proper French toast, like it's not just beating some eggs and throwing your bread in there. Like if someone's like, how do I make French toast? It's like, well, get a nice bread, make sure it's this and that. Like, I'm gonna tell you how to make it, but like, are you gonna make it is the real question. So if you are asking a if you are asking a chef that question, be prepared for either they're gonna think that in their head and they're gonna kind of like lightly explain it, or they're gonna go in detail. I get asked that a lot when I make like family meal. Sorry, I just feel a sneeze coming. For family meal, a lot of, even like the people who work in the restaurants will be like, "How can you give me this recipe?" I'll be like, "Man, I don't remember what the recipe was. I don't remember." And if I started explaining it to you, you just walk away. Oh my god. God. Give me 1 second. Wow. I don't understand why it's just one and it's like wanting to just drip and drip. It's so gross. I'm so gross. Okay, everything seems to still be working. I don't know. That was just some bad luck earlier, I guess. There's a couple giant dips in frame rate, but they only happen like within a split second. Otherwise, everything's fine. Everything is fine. So crazy. Like, how many hours have I streamed total? Feels like a lot, but it's not. Damn, I thought there'd be a lot more questions that are not so, I don't want to say technical. Like, this question, some of these questions are just like, why are some cheeses traditionally sliced in squares, while some are traditionally sliced in circles? I mean, there's probably like I said, there's something to learn everywhere, but it's just stuff that I would never like whoa, like that's the question. I think with like provolone, yeah, it's just how it's. That is weird because provolone is round, which is the shape of provolone, round. We get the low moisture mozzarella logs in the restaurant, and they're rectangle bricks. And then we used to get provolone, but we don't use it anymore, but it was round. I don't know what exactly. I think that's just how it has to be in like the mass production of it, how those machines and those like how they're packaged, like it's just standardized. It has to be some sort of standardization. Here's a question. My homemade turkey stock is completely gelatinous. So I made stock with leftover turkey carcass from Thanksgiving, basically stripped the bones as well as I could, roasted them at 425, broke them open, so the marrow, blah, 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 then simmered, blah, with onion, herbs, about 6 cups of water for about 5 hours. The result was totally delicious, but after straining it and putting it in the fridge, became completely gelatinous. No liquid at all. This is just normal. This is what happens. That means you made a good ass stock. That is all the collagen and cartilage breaking down and like kind of re-solidifying in a new way disperse in the water when you're making the stock. So that's how it should be. Stock you get at the store doesn't have that in it because it needs to be more shelf stable. So that's why when you make homemade stocks, they're jelly. And then and you cook that down even more by half, then you got a demi-glace, which will literally, when you cool it down, it'll be like a hockey puck, essentially, like a jelly hockey puck that will melt in the presence of heat. Can I freeze fresh squeezed lime juice for later in drinks? Yes, you can. You can. It will lose acidity, but it'll have that lime. That part of like what makes lime juice in drinks so good is just because it's like you can fresh citrus is unbeatable, and freezing it is the next best thing. The next best thing. Yeah, it is good stock. Sorry, lukewarm there. It's been a while. It's been a while. So what'd you say? Gum Arabic? I haven't personally in recipes. It's essentially like it's a gum. So it is plant based. Is a plant based. I've used agar. I use xanthan gum, which is, I'm assuming. Yeah, guar gum, things like that. So these are what are called hydrocolloids, essentially. In the molecular gastronomy world, hydrocolloids are created. Some are synthetic and some are derivative of plants. And what that means essentially with the plants. Where are you at? I know of places where you can find xanthan gum. I know that you can get it in like Whole Foods and stuff. There's a brand that like comes in a Ziploc bag. They do like different types of flours. And like masa and stuff, but they also have like you can get like rice powder flour, or like you can get a little pouch of xanthan gum. It was like $16, but it's a lot, and I literally brought it to the bakery. I should steal it back because it's mine. But it's essentially, it's a tree sap, but it turns into a powder. And what happens, whether it's synthetic or not, like here's an example: Methylcellulose, Ultratex are also. Ultratex Methylcellulose are basically the same in a way. They react a little bit differently, but essentially they help in the cooking world for sauces to not break. If you're wanting a certain texture, it really depends, and it's so like and I'm only scrape the iceberg of the hydrocolloid world in my personal experience. I feel comfortable using xanthan gum with applications like I'll use like a little. I use the term key bump, but like if I'm making a beurre blanc and I'm starting with a little tiny bit of flour and mostly butter, there will be a little xanthan gum put in there to just like keep that water from seeping out or like breaking. Like most like ketchup is an example I bring up all the time of like what xanthan gum can really do, because ketchup is just sugar and tomato water essentially, and that's how it keeps together for the most part. You could probably order it. I'm gonna write these things down and compile. I'm trying and think back of like questions about products, and like even if it's not able to be ordered, I can figure out how to like put things in an Amazon list or something like that. But I wouldn't recommend. I think on Amazon, I don't know about England, but I think you should be able to get a small amount. I'd only recommend getting a small amount if you're like playing with it you know? Like if you're gonna, I would look up a recipe or like try to, I'm trying to think of what. It's just not something that I don't even use at home, so I can't recommend buying it. But if it's something you want to play with, like have at it. If you're like there's some people discredit the molecular gastronomy world because it is kind of like you're manipulating things, but you can get it on Amazon. You can get 8 ounces for like $7. It'll last you a while. But it is yeah, those are all hydrocolloids and they all react it like the only differences in these are like, for instance, you have the plant-based ones like xanthan gum and or gum arabic and guar gum and agar also, they all react a lot differently. Like for instance, agar, if you one application I like for it is making gels with it because it basically is like a plant-based gelatin, but since it's a slightly different chemical makeup, it gives you that jelly. Like for instance, if I wanted to make a vinegar gel, like I got a peach vinegar and I want to make it into a gel, I would boil my vinegar for a minute, and I'd stir and whisk in my agar and then let it chill, and then it turned into like a jello, and then I'd blend the shit out of that jello in the Vitamix, and it becomes like a pipeable little jelly. Fruit caviar for a duck dish. Just messing around at home. You think I could do it with gum arabic or just xanthan gum? I think if you're doing the fruit caviar, you would need the sodium citrate or the solution bath. See, that's just I didn't get to do the I think my station didn't have any sort of fruit pellets or fruit caviars to do, but I think you need to have like what is it called? These chemicals just have all these names. It's like you have to be a chemist. But it's just the bath has to, it's what you add into the fruit juice, and then you have to basically put it into that specific water bath. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, here we go. Yeah, here's one with agar that I've seen, but it's like an oil method. So you'll basically whisk your juice in agar and boil. 2 minutes is like the standard for agar. And you don't need a lot. Oh, that's cool. I didn't know you could use oil. But you whisk your agar and your it's not boiling, but you're simmering fruit juice, and then essentially you'll put that in a bottle and you'll drop it into cold oil. I'm guessing grapeseed oil since it's the most neutral, and then you just strain it and rinse it. That's a lot easier than I never knew that. See, I told you I'm going to learn shit too, cuz then you don't have to get the fucking what is it called? Sodium like calcium. It's sodium or calcium something. Yeah, I've never seen that. I've always seen the specific the bath, but that is cool. I didn't know you could use agar for that. Um, but yeah, back to saying like agar is a more its structure, its derivative gives you more of that gelatin, and then if you go down the spectrum, like here's agar, and then here's xanthan gum. Xanthan gum is a lot in the terms of how gel and how strong the structure can be. it is a lot lighter and it won't get as gelatinous, and you won't get that set gelatin texture. If you use too much xanthan gum, what happens is it starts acting like you've added too much cornstarch. It's almost similar to cornstarch in terms of it's like hydrophobic. I don't know. The one where it likes water. But that's a good question. It's really yeah, it's a whole different world, but you can do some really creative shit with it. I love it. Yeah, I don't know if they can. I don't know if you can. I'm sure you can order it. You have to be able to order it. Damn, it's already 10:51. Why? Why? I'm literally. Damn, it's probably, you're in England. It's like midnight out there. Yeah, I'll keep agar around and xanthan gum because they're pretty like. It's like really what you need. You could like some places, like I said, Ultratex and like Methylcellulose. Those are just all manufactured versions of that, and they just have slightly different properties. I've seen people make. You can make like creme fraiche, like house-made creme fraiche, and then blend it with a tiny bit of Ultratex to like same thing as you would do with xanthan gum to make sure the water doesn't like leach out and you get a really nice texture. It's just about modifying it in slight ways to make the end product that much better. So yeah, and it's just manipulation, really. You're just manipulating it. I feel like a lot of the times when I try to explain this stuff to people, it gets like a bad, like, oh, that's not really, like, especially moving here, like, oh, that's not cooking. Yeah, Ultratex, I think that's like a brand name. I've heard it, I've seen it called Ultrasperse, like Ultratex. It's basically a cellulose derivative, I think, or a manufactured cellulose. It's only 5 p.m. Okay. So, 7 hours? 7 hours? It's 11 here. Wait. 6. I can do math. I can do so much math. Damn, it is getting cold. Oh, that wind's blowing too. Mm-hmm. 8 hours. 11. No, 11 to 5 is 6 hours. Wait, did you say 8? Oh, 5. Yeah. I honestly thought the time difference was a lot. So we both can't do math. That's funny. We can't do single digit addition. This is why we need to stay in school. Hmm. Hmm. Here's a question. Why isn't seaweed more prominent in American and English dishes despite proximity and access to the ocean? The Western palate is garbage. Americans are so babied when it comes to stuff. They're like, I don't like fish. I don't like it's just a palate thing. It is what it boils down to. People aren't. A decades long thing where the American diet has been pigeonholed or into this like convenience, chicken, beef, like this whole that's a whole fucking talk in its own. But it's really just the Western palate is not used to that stuff, and we're not the same. And not, I don't mean that like we're not the same people. We are the same people. We're all human, but like we're not the same as in we don't like, we're just picky. And I'm not picky, but people just like what they like, and it's hard to introduce new things to people that are kind of used to something for a very long time. You can also say the same thing if you flipped it, like why don't other countries eat certain things that Americans eat? It's just whatever the zeitgeist is. Like at the time, I always go back to like the 70s, is like how once food started changing in terms of convenience products and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. Some chefs go too far. Right now, I work at a sourdough bakery called Hustle and Dough. We make sourdough. We make baguettes. We have a whole pastry program. I run the nighttime now because of COVID. We're kind of doing double duty. So now we have a Detroit style pizza thing going on where we just it's easy. We already make dough, so we just make pizza dough, and like pizza's easy and it's picking up. Before that, I had worked at Alinea and this place called Sepia, so that's where I kind of got my dabbling of gastronomy, and then also just like home stuff and playing around and YouTube, like YouTube. I didn't learn that shit in culinary school. I'll tell you that for free. So, yeah, at Alinea, things got wild. You're literally, even this time I was there, is just hard to like absorb a lot of the stuff because you're not really, you're just trying to get it done. You're not learning how the process is because that place requires so much fucking work out of you every second you're there. An interesting idea I've seen is Americans lack. Uh, yes, I did a month stagiaire over there when I worked in Chicago. And then I was basically like, I don't know if the 3-star world is the fit for me. So then I went to Sepia, which is a 1-star restaurant over on Jefferson in the West Loop, and I loved it there. And then that was right before I moved to Memphis. Yep. He was actually, yeah, the Alinea. Anyone can work there, man. Anyone. I dropped out of culinary school and I flipped burgers for 4 years. You just got to walk in there and be like, hey, I want to work. And whether or not you want to stay or whatever, like, you just, if you show up and knock on the back door and you're like, I want a stage today, they will put your ass to work. It's not, people think it's like this hard, you got to like you do have to dedicate you have to be dedicated to want to work there and do what I do. But at the same time, if you show up, like, it doesn't matter what fucking French school you went to or this or that or the other. Like, you're a body. You're a body, and a body can do work. So that was like one of my goals, was to, like, if not have a career there, at least walk through those doors so like I can be like, okay, now that I've flipped burger patties and then worked at Alinea, I can focus on other shit. Like, I've got the whole ego, and it's cool because like the whole ego and all this shit has just like been behind me for a long time. But even now, it's like I don't measure myself to like other people's standards anymore, and it's kind of nice to be like proving something to yourself. So it's kind of like yeah, as long as you can chop some vegetables, really. As when I staged there, because before you can even actually work, you have to do a two back-to-back 12-hour stages, and they pay you, and then you essentially, like, at the end they're like, okay, do you want to like continue working here? But the days I was there, Grant was there when I had my stage, and it was just absolutely like, I staged there 2 separate times. The first time I did the 2 days, and then I was like, I think this was like earlier, around like 2016. And then later on, I think that's the right date. And then a couple years later, I did it again, and that's when I did the whole month. But yeah, it's he was there, and I got to talk to him after my stage, and like, it's a very serious kitchen. Everything is serious, and even then, it was nice to just be like watching him run that service both nights and be there at the end and kind of like he was there because he's not the chef that's there. There's right now they're about to figure out who is gonna be the executive chef. It was a guy named Simon Davies. He was there for like 8 years before he became chef. Grant has so much shit to do, so he's not there a lot of the times, and the only reason he was there when I was working was because he had to help make sure the restaurant was running properly for the transition of Simon. And before Simon was this other guy named Mike Bagal, who was also like cooked at Alinea and rose up and everything. So though I feel like those dudes were scarier than Grant. Those two were like, I think they were scarier because they had like worked and been through the bullshit, like, and you know, it's different when you're like, oh, I'm Grant, this is my life, I'm opening this restaurant, and then he's like this ethereal being and he's gone. But then you have the actual chefs that are like, they are worried about the service because Grant is their boss, so they are like 10 times more like intimidating. Yeah, it's I was on pastry too. They put me on pastry station, and I am not a pastry. I guess now in my experience I am, but like at the time I was not, and I was like, but I was keeping my head above water. Like I was in charge of like the cocktail for there's a cocktail course where you go in the kitchen and there's like a bite that goes with it, and the bite was like this aerated pizza foam inside this, like, it's basically a pizza roll, but there's like tomato powder on it and like micro basil flowers, and inside is like mozzarella sausage foam. It's very weird, but that would be served with this cocktail. I'd make the cocktail, so I'd be like making bar drinks and then also making the macarons for the mat set, you know, where they paint all this stuff. Like we had to do it was like a team of three of us, but like we all broke the list up into separate parts, and the mat set, the paint course at the time, is like involved like colored chocolate and cotton candy and these like neon green glitter macarons that I had to make and spray paint. I remember we ran out of green dye and I was so scared because we didn't order any, and I had to like, I learned that day how to make dye or stretch dye with Everclear. Like I learned some crazy shit there that it's like you're not even cooking at that point, you're just learning like how to be a chemist. So I definitely had to take a step back, and I went to a place that had definitely more classic technique and was very contemporary. I think that's why I like Sepia so much, is because it taught me a lot about conceptualizing plating and learning that restraint. There's like beauty in restraint sometimes. It looks, and it tends to look very boring to a lot of people, but I love contemporary plating, and I like that classic style, but with a lot of, like, you know, you got to know the wheel before you can like turn it into something else in a way. Ask me a question. I don't even know how to pronounce that name. Ask me a question. I am Zaro. What's the worst mistake that you've made in your life, and what did you learn from it? I don't know. I'm making mistakes every day. I don't know what the worst mistake could be. I would say the worst mistake was like my time in Chicago. Just like really, the restaurant life can get to you and make you really there is a toxic atmosphere currently in the industry, and unfortunately it turns a lot of people to abusing substances and alcohol or just depression. My biggest mistake is that I've always just let myself get in my own head, and it ultimately, like, me leaving Chicago was an example of that. As much as it did to benefit me, at the same time, like, I could have done better, and I could have definitely taken a little bit of care of myself. I wasn't like, you know, on crack. I did drink a lot, and I was like pushing myself and working like 80 hours and just like thinking like, oh, this is grinding. I'm learning. It's like part excitement and this or that. I'm talking about the restaurant industry. The restaurant industry. But still a good question. Like, all of that is like very relative to a lot of cooks out there, and I feel like it doesn't get talked about, because I do know a lot of friends of mine who have turned to alcohol and other things that just really are not, they're not band-aids or anything, but the work, and like even at Alinea, the shit gets stressful, and it doesn't always have to be. And you know, maybe if circumstances were different, I probably would have maybe stayed at Alinea, but also at the same time, like, you got to do what you feel like yeah. Well, not like working too hard, but essentially yeah, that's like grazing it. that's grazing it. I mean, it's more of like out of an ignorance thing, not necessarily like just working too hard, just not really paying attention to things that mattered to me, or oh, thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, like you just overwork yourself and like you don't pay attention to things, and like I would just disregard my friends, and like like even like I said how the toxic environments were in kitchens, you develop you start developing those habits, and I did see myself like acting like an asshole sometimes, and like I said previously, like the cockiness and whatever of like that shit has been beat out of me. I feel like there's a lot of chefs that have this like big ass chip on their shoulder like their whole life. And like I feel like sometimes I still deal with that. And at the same time, it's something that needs to be brought up, because a lot of people like this industry is like with all the stuff about the oh, what did you learn from that experience? What did I learn? Um, I learned a lot. I learned how to really like understand people. I really learned how to understand my team and what other people are going through, and that there is uh, a very important way to be a leader through vulnerability, and that it doesn't matter if your weakest team member is bad or they're just not good or whatever. How they feel is what is more important. And I think like what I'm getting to is that being a chef, and I'll always talk about, there's more to it than just being like, oh, I cooked here, I did this. I don't like go around and brag that I've been to Alinea, but I wear it like I flipped burgers. I dropped out of culinary school. It's not something that like. I don't go like, oh man, I'm the best cook in the world, or I don't go here and say, look at my resume. Like, I let my work speak for itself. Yeah, it is a lot of introspective stuff, but that's important. It's very important, because like I said, this industry is like, it will kill people. It changes people, and there's so many like, I definitely urge, if you haven't, to read this book right here. This is a really good book, and this is like my mentor and someone who I've always looked up to. I've literally followed him and his book career, and like, I don't want to say idolize, but the shit he kind of, I think I like Anthony Bourdain a lot, because I don't have a filter, and I see both sides of things, and I look at the industry for what it is, and I try to educate people about it, and how it's not this like fucking frou world. And like, even though times in the industry now aren't like this back in the day, like there's some of the stuff in this book, like of what used to happen, definitely will not fly now. But the honesty is what's important in this, and it is like, it's the best book ever, and I always like urge people to read it. He's an amazing man, and if you want to learn from a chef, this is the guy right here. I will always recommend. Well, yeah, a lot of chefs are alcoholics. I've drank a lot. Like, I don't drink as much anymore. I'll drink like once in a while, but like you just start getting into, it's a cyclical thing. You just get into the cycle of like, all right, I'm working for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, probably more. I'm doing 50 things, and the only time I get to relax is I get to have a drink after work. And then we start staying out late, and like it becomes, there's a whole thing called the industry life, and that is basically like, I can't tell you how many 4 a.m. bars I've stayed out at in Chicago. Like the Continental, the fucking Continental I've been at, like literally the scummiest place on earth. Like, it just happens. But it's like, you gotta be able to come out of it on the other side. And like, I think that's why I attribute that to my mistake. Because I feel like if I didn't succumb to that, I would be so much farther in my career. Slept at the restaurant. Yeah. There's definitely times where I've pulled all-nighters because I didn't go to bed and I was out till 6 in the morning. I'm ready for all the questions. At least for the next 40 minutes. I got 40 minutes left on this, but I'm going to be updating my schedule. It is Wednesday through Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon. Subject to change. I also have the Discord is ready to go. These are some Buddha questions you're asking. He's asking, like, what is something you wish you knew sooner about life? That it moves very fucking fast, and I'm 28, and I feel like my mind and career and everything are starting to take off, and I feel like if I would have realized that a little bit sooner, I'd be where I'm at now at the age of 24. You know, minus the whole like depression, alcohol bullshit. Yeah, I wish I knew not to waste time. I wish I knew not to worry about certain things. Yeah, gotta get. You know what? Doesn't matter if you're religious or not. You can always apply Buddhism, because Buddhism it's not a religion. It's just an idea. It's about you and being honest and your true self. But yes, I have. Yeah, life moves faster than you think. Sorry if that's vague. That just sounds like it sounds like an easy answer, but it's really just like, maybe it's because my brain moves a mile a minute and I'm always worried about what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah. Especially in this industry, like, this shit ages you. And that's another, like, the whole not drinking as much is like, I don't want to. You see chefs that are 40 and they look like they're pushing 60 because, like, it changes you, the long hours, the alcohol, the nonstop, you know, whatever. Well, I'm glad you think it's a good answer. So the whole point of this channel is for me to be like building a community of restaurant and non-restaurant industry people that can really like understand what this industry is, and like how I said, what it can do to people. What I want to pass on is that knowledge, and the knowledge that we can change how restaurants are and how our teams are and how chefs are, and how there is, you know, especially with COVID, like this whole thing is because of COVID. Because of COVID, I have learned the flaws in the industry, and I've learned all this shit that has just plagued us. The tipping system, the fact that our insurance packages are bundled so shittily that we can't afford to not take these shitty insurance. We have companies like Uber Eats and all this taking 30% of our to-go, you know, orders and food sales and getting their own tips out of it. There's a lot of fucked up things, and I know I'm a chef, but I want to be able to extend beyond that in a way, and there's nothing right now that really explains this stuff. Yeah, there's articles, and it's like you can see like, okay, well, Bon Appetit put something out a while ago at the beginning of the first lockdown in March, and was like, the age of the chef-led kitchen is over. It's really who's really putting in the work is the team in the kitchen. It's like, yeah, no fucking shit. Like, it's always been like that. It's always been the workload of the people working under and for the vision. Like, it's just how it's always been. So my job now, because like I have a full-time job and I'm starting a business in my backyard selling barbecue, and I'm streaming 4 days a week, so I can kind of practice, but like get something going where there is a place, whether it's on Twitch, YouTube, something like that. Even later on, if it extends into an organization, there are things that need to change in the industry, and the restaurant industry is not failing, it's being failed, and there are people that need to step up. And like, I don't want to be like, I love cooking, but I also don't feel like I can be a chef my whole life. I think I have the gift of gab, and I can really get that information out there and educate people. And I want this channel to be for cooks and non-cooks and people, so everyone fucking understands that what is going on. So it's a mouthful, but that's to the next generation of chefs, because what I'm used to is like, all the chefs I've worked for, they're older and they're mean and they just teach the same bullshit practices over and over. And then like, I can't tell you, like, Memphis, Tennessee, the restaurant scene is non-existent. And I can't tell you how badly I was treated in restaurants here because, God forbid, I used tweezers at a restaurant once. That toxicity is what I'm talking about, especially. Like, having a vendetta against someone, that's not even all of it, but in reality, being treated like that because of where I worked, and it's hindering your own productivity, that's the first thing I noticed coming down here. And the industry is fragmented and it's changed. Oh, that's very nice. You're gonna make me cry. That's such a nice thing to say. I think there's not stuff like this on Twitch, and with how Twitch has been, and there's a lot of viewers, and there's just not shit out there like this. I know Twitch is a video game platform, but I feel like I've had a lot of interaction on here so far just from doing it a couple nights a week. So I'm trying to create something. Like, there's a vision here. There is definitely a goal. So, and like, even if it's one conversation that I can have like right now, and that's one person, I'd rather be able to stream to 1,000 people and be able to answer and know every person, rather than being like playing video games and my chat's blowing up where I can't even read it, and I don't even really care about like having 50 fucking thousand million viewers at once. It is definitely because of the old school French style and training. The brigade system created by what's his face? What the fuck is this guy's name? Escoffier. Yeah. It's like the military. And back then cooking was like the military. And the military itself is just an example of like what's the word? Frat boy kind of. It's just very frat boy-y. Like, even at Alinea, it was just like, man, I don't have time for y'all to act like bitches to me. Like, yeah, like, sure, I'm not doing something right, but like, they would just look for like, the sous chefs would be like looking for something to yell at you about. Like, and when it gets to that point, it's like, man, shut the fuck up. Like, why? Like, I remember one time the sous chef there, his name's Daniel Beal. I don't know, he's kind of weird, but I was like, we had to move stuff to the other freezers because one side of the kitchen's coolers were being shut down to be worked on, and I didn't know where the fuck the freezer was. I was just told to put so I was literally looking for which door was the freezer to just stick this tray in, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? That's not a fucking freezer. Like, and I'm like, this is I looked at him, I was like, this is my second day. Like, I never work on this side. And he's like, well, it's not a freezer. I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't know if I think I had the right amount of, like, dealing with shitty people to where when I worked there, it was just like, okay, sure. Like, I remember they always try to get you too, because I would be I was in the dish room looking for something, and he was like, oh, he tries to act nice. He's like, oh, how's your day? And I'm like, it's going good. I can't complain. And then, like, he flips and he's like, sounds like you need some more fucking projects then, huh? And I was like, did you, like, do blow last night? Are you having, like, cocaine blues or something? Something's going on here, because, like, you just asked me how my day is going, and then you came at me with that shit. So it is like a fucking, like, the thing is, like, it's top down. Like, the dude there, he's getting bitched at by someone else, and then he's turning around and taking that frustration out on me. So it's like this fucking snake eating its own tail of bullshit. And it is like, it is due to the training, and like, well, this is how, it's a boomer mentality is what it is. It's like, well, this is how I learned. And like, when I now as a leader, when I am teaching people in kitchens, I know I was taught like those guys. I was bitched at, I was yelled at, I was treated bad, and like that, like for a lot of my career, and there's a lot of pressure, but I'm not gonna turn around and do that just to be like, oh, now I'm chef now. Like, I get to do, there's more work to do. Like, there's so much more to do than just being an asshole. Like, I don't see none of them trying to fucking change anything. I don't see any, they're just assholes. And it is a lot of the fucking industry. And it is a lot of, and you know what? It's not just dudes. It is like, yeah, it started because it was male dominated, but like, there's plenty of women that do it too. It's not just men that do it. It's the kitchen atmosphere. The kitchen will do that to people. It is not a male-female thing. It is 2021, and both sides do it. Facts. Big facts. What strats would you recommend to deal with those types? You just gotta be like, water off a duck's back, man. Like, you gotta be like, whoa, what's his problem? Like, what's this? Like, just pay attention to what you're doing. There's always gonna be people that are either mad at you because they're mad at something else, or there's gonna be people that are like, oh, well, they're gonna invalidate your hard work. And paying attention to that, their opinion, is not gonna fucking get you anywhere. Yeah, they literally play pass around with the negativity. You're absolutely right. Absolutely. But yeah, man, it's water off a duck's motherfucking back, really. Like, even to this day, I have issues with personalities. You know, sometimes the right person's personality and the restaurant atmosphere can make someone into something that's really unsavory. But I think, you know, my experience, I like I said, I've learned how to deal with these types. And I'm an obnoxious person. I like being wild, and I am also very serious, but when I get on to someone for fucking up, I don't treat them like garbage. Like, yeah, if you keep fucking up and I'm like asking you, hey, can you put your dishes away? Hey, can you put your dishes away? Hey, like, after like the third time, I will get mad. because there is a certain level of responsibility that, like I said, people just think they can just cook, and cooking is like they come in, they have these mentalities that they're just gonna be a chef, and then they realizing get treated shitty, and then what ends up happening is them getting treated shitty is like all they know, and like that's what they think being a chef is, and they get that big ass chip on their shoulder. And that's what I think Memphis has right now. All of Memphis cooks have a big ass chip on their shoulder because they don't like, it sounds bad, they don't have anything to be cocky about. They don't. There are no James Beard restaurants down here. Or, well, not, there are in the South, but not in Memphis. There is no Michelin guide in Memphis. So why are cooks treating me like I'm some arrogant prick just because of my previous experience? It's very fucked up, and it's very like, and like it is, and for, I know I said on both sides, it's women who do this, they do it just as much as men do because it's how the atmosphere is created, but at the same time, women have it harder coming into those situations if they are experienced, because it's even more like, that is where the old sexist stuff starts coming up, because I've seen people invalidate really talented female cooks just because they're a woman and they should be doing pastry and this and that. And it's like, I want to tell some of these dumbass dudes, like, you want to know why they do pastry? Because it takes more effort and is a lot harder. Pastry is so much harder than savory cooking. It is so much harder. And telling me that a girl should do pastry because it's easy is basically showing me that you don't fucking know how an extremely difficult pastry can fucking be, especially in concepted desserts and Michelin level pastry. Sorry, I just was like, bah, 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 bah. Like, fucking, you got me going. But yeah, so this channel is basically going to be, I try to improve it as much as I can at a steady rate. I'm going to get another camera here soon so I can do some like cooking segments. I do want to put some stuff on YouTube as well, so I'm just kind of like testing out the waters and seeing what I can do, or what I like the streaming platform aspect of it, and I really like enjoy the interactivity and like impacting people immediately. So I don't know. I like how Twitch's setup is. I don't know how to like, I'm still not, my overlay system, I can't get the names. Like, it should say the follower on the bottom, since like or my previous follow, like I have it all like typed out and everything, but it's not showing up. So I promise things will get better. And I'm sorry if there's a lot of layout switching and stuff like that. I think, what do I got? It's 11:33. Normally I don't have to be at work super early, just because I run the night shit and it's just pizza. But I do have to leave because I have to go do an errand before work, and I have to go do some photography for this salad. The top tier pastry was panna cotta. Man, there's a restaurant here called, I don't fucking care. It's called Catherine and Mary's. It's the worst fucking restaurant ever. It's like literally two pretentious ass dudes. All they use is like Calabrian chili and shit, and they do a panna cotta, but it's like, or not a panna cotta, a panna cotta, and it's literally set so hard it's like Jello, and it's like, man, you charge fucking $20 for this? But yeah, back in the day, yeah. Now pastry is like, it's ridiculous, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I didn't know fully until I like I said, they threw me on Pastry Station on Alinea. They didn't ask me. They didn't say, do you want to go to Hot Guard? Do you want to go to Squab? Do you want to go to Sauté? Like, they were like, I looked at my email and it said pastry. Like, and I was shook. Because I was like, I don't know what they're expecting, but you know, it wasn't as hard as I thought, but it was just scary because, like, I don't know. I know how difficult that shit is, and I wouldn't want. I would not have. If I had to pick that out of a hat and I got that, I would have probably made the worst face ever. But yes, I am going to. What is it? I'm definitely. I gotta go take some photography pictures of a salad we are putting on the menu. It's a salad we did. I created it, and it's going on the menu. It was here last year. Just gotta get that good ass lighting. 'Cause normally I don't show up there till around 3, and that's like when the good lighting is gone. So yeah, I'm glad you guys showed up. Thank you. I don't know. I am Zaro. Thank you for the follow. It's nice to see Luke up in here again. Tell me about if you get that caviar going. Let me know about it. Tell me. I'll put the Discord into the channel, so that way you can hop on there. How do I do this? Actually, I can link it right now, since we're at the end. I'll put it in the chat, and that way you can put stuff in there. I have some categories for everything. How the fuck do I do this? Lemonade. It is called the Lemonade Stand. We're official now. How do I add people? I think I figured it out. Boom. You click on that. That is the Lemonade Discord server. I got a meme channel. Yeah, I don't really. As long as everything's kept in the categories, I don't mind. I got a meme channel. I got a stream-related news channel that has the schedule on there. I have a follower chat, just general chat, and then I have a food chat. So if you want to put pictures in the food chat, I also have a restaurant behind the scenes channel for stuff that I'll be posting. Sorry, I'm like learning Discord at the same time. But if you can download Discord. Yeah, and then it'll be a cool place because I'm gonna have some like restaurant. It's gonna essentially be like, if I'm able to get to subscriber level, I can have like incentive and restaurant behind the scenes stuff that my subscribers can look at, like, and isn't gonna be on here, like stuff where I work. If I'm like, you know, like there's this new tasting menu place opening up that I'm going to be moving to, so there could potentially be like live streams from there and things like that, or like little things that like people don't get to really see. So is it gonna blow up? I don't know. I like your enthusiasm though, but I am going to log it off here, and I'm gonna go do more work. I'm gonna work my regular job. So thank you guys. You guys are real ones. I'll see ya. I'm gonna get off of here now. Bye.